Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something almost every new parent encounters. Baby dry skin. The technical term is xerosis. It seems, you know, pretty normal most of the time. But the question is, when does that bit of flakiness become something you really need to actively manage?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? Because yes, it is incredibly common in infants, but like you said, there's a huge spectrum.
Right.
It can range from just minor dryness that resolves quickly, maybe a little peeling, to really severe cases. We're talking cracking, significant redness, persistent itching that makes the baby miserable.
Okay.
So our goal today, our mission really, is to sift through all the advice out there and give you, the listener, the practical knowledge you need to, well, confidently prevent it or treat it when it happens.
And we've gone deep into the sources for this one, looking at the unique physiology, the environmental things that set it off, and importantly, a solid plan for managing it.
Yeah.
So let's just jump straight in. Why? Why is newborn skin so incredibly prone to getting dry?
Well, you have to think about the massive change they've just gone through. I mean, their environment shifted dramatically.
From the wound to the world, basically.
Exactly. Inside, they were constantly bathed in amniotic fluid. Then they arrive, and suddenly they're exposed to dry air. And that protective coating they have at birth, the vernix caseosa.
The waxy stuff.
Yeah, that thick, waxy layer. It often gets washed off pretty soon after birth. So the skin barrier is essentially starting from, well, square one, trying to figure out how to manage moisture on its own.
And just physiologically, their skin is just different from ours, right? We know it's much thinner, more transparent almost.
It is, significantly so. And that structure is really the key limiting factor here. Their protective layer, that natural lipid barrier that's meant to lock moisture in, it's still developing. It's not fully established yet.
Okay.
And here's something really interesting. Their skin pH, it's naturally higher than adult skin pH.
Higher pH. What did that actually mean for the skin?
Think of the skin's pH as part of its natural defense system. A higher pH means that defense isn't quite as strong yet. It makes it harder for the skin to retain hydration and easier for external irritants or allergens to get through.
So it's like the gate's not quite closed properly yet.
Precisely. And that combination, the thinness, the underdeveloped barrier, the higher pH, it all leads to high transepidermal water loss, TEWL.
TEWL. Right. I've heard that term.
It just means water evaporates off their skin much, much faster than ours.
Like trying to keep water in a leaky sieve.
Exactly like that. It's a constant battle against evaporation. And this vulnerability is especially pronounced in those first, say, 6 months of life.
Okay, so if their skin is inherently sort of leaky because it's still developing, let's talk about the things that make it worse. The external factors. What are the main culprits we should be aware of?
Right, the triggers. Well, environmentally, the obvious ones are low humidity, think dry climates or winter air.
Or centrally heated houses.
Absolutely. Central heating dries the air out tremendously. Then you've got cold air itself, wind exposure, even just, too much direct sun. They all act to pull moisture out of that already vulnerable skin.
Okay, those make sense. But what about something parents do every day, bathing? I think the common assumption is that bathing adds moisture, keeps the baby clean.
Ah, yes. The bathing paradox. This is where things get a bit counterintuitive.
How so?
Because while water can hydrate, too much bathing or bathing the wrong way actually does the opposite. It strips away the natural oils, the sebum that the baby's skin produces.
So it washes away their own natural moisturizer, essentially.
Exactly. That sebum is crucial for keeping the skin hydrated and protected, especially when that lipid barrier is still forming.
So less is more when it comes to baths.
Ah.
What's the recommendation?
The expert consensus is pretty clear on this. For the first few months, bathing just 2 or 3 times a week is usually plenty.
Only 2 or 3 times. Wow.
And when you do bathe them, keep it short, like 5 to 10 minutes max. Use lukewarm water, definitely not hot, and stick to very gentle, fragrance-free hypoallergenic cleansers.
Okay, short, infrequent, lukewarm, gentle. Got it.
Think about it. If your bathroom mirror steams up, the water is probably too hot and you're just encouraging more evaporation off their skin afterwards. Pat them dry gently. Don't rub.
Okay, so we've covered water and the environment. What about other things that touch their skin? Like clothes or products?
Definitely. Dehydration is actually a big internal factor first. Babies lose water proportionally faster than adults, so you need to watch for signs like fewer wet diapers, maybe sunken eyes, listlessness. keep up with frequent feeding.
Right, hydration from the inside.
And then, yes, contact points, rough fabrics like some wools, or even synthetic materials that don't breathe well. Tight clothing that causes friction can also irritate the skin and worsen dryness.
And the lotions and potions we put on them.
A huge potential trigger. This is where you have to be really careful. Anything with fragrance is a common irritant.
Even baby fresh scents.
Especially those sometimes. Alcohol in products is very drying. Harsh soaps or detergents, anything that isn't pH balanced specifically for sensitive baby skin, all of these can disrupt that delicate natural oil balance we talked about.
Okay, so we know why it happens and what makes it worse. What does it actually look like? What are the signs a parent should watch for?
Well, for simple dry skin, the signs are usually pretty straightforward. You'll likely see some flakiness, maybe scaling or peeling.
Especially after a bath you mentioned?
Yes, often more noticeable then when the air hits the damp skin. You might also find rough patches, often on the knees, elbows, or cheeks areas exposed to friction or the elements.
And redness.
Sometimes mild redness or irritation, yes. But it's really important to remember, especially for babies with darker skin tones, dryness might not look red at all. It might appear more dull or pale or kind of ashy.
That's a really important point about different thin tones. When does it cross from just dry into something more serious?
The warning signs are when it gets severe. You might see tiny cracks, actual fissures in the skin.
Ouch.
Yeah, often on areas that flex a lot, like fingers, heels, sometimes around the lips. And those cracks are basically open doors for bacteria or fungi, raising the risk of infection.
That's the scary part. And this is where parents often wonder, is this just dryness or could it be eczema? They could look pretty similar at first glance, right?
They can, absolutely. Both involve dryness, redness, irritation. It's a common point of confusion.
So how do you tell the difference?
The key differences usually lie in persistence and itchiness. Simple dry skin tends to be transient, it comes and goes, and usually responds well to basic moisturizers. Eczema or atopic dermatitis is typically more persistent, it sticks around.
Okay.
And the itch with eczema is often much more intense, really bothersome for the baby. Eczema can also cause raised bumps, sometimes oozing or crusting, and in chronic cases, the skin can actually thicken and feel kind of leathery.
Leathery skin, wow.
Yeah.
And eczema is quite common, isn't it?
It is. Estimates suggest it affects somewhere between 10 and 20% of children globally. So it's definitely something many families deal with.
And I guess ignoring even what looks like mild dryness isn't great, because it weakens that skin barrier we keep talking about.
Exactly right. Untreated dryness compromises that barrier function. It makes the skin much more vulnerable, creating entry points for irritants, allergens, and even infections.
Like what kind of infection?
Things like impetigo, which is a bacterial infection you often see as crusty sores, or candidiasis, which is a yeast infection like a persistent diaper rash sometimes. It can also aggravate other conditions like cradle cap or heat rash.
Okay, so it's definitely worth managing properly. The good news, though, is that simple dry skin is usually manageable, right? And preventable to some extent.
Oh, absolutely. Very much so. With the right care, focusing on gentle routines and hydration, you can make a huge difference.
So let's get into the action plan. What are the key steps for treatment and prevention?
It really boils down to restoring and protecting that natural lipid layer. So, step 1, gentle bathing. We covered this, but it bears repeating short duration, 5-10 minutes.
Lukewarm water.
Lukewarm water only 2-3 times a week, gentle fragrance-free cleanser, and patting dry gently. No vigorous rubbing.
Okay. Step 2 feels like the most important one.
It probably is. Apply moisturizer. This is non-negotiable. Use a good quality, fragrance-free, hypoallergenic moisturizer or emollient.
What ingredients should parents look for?
Things like ceramides are great because they help rebuild the skin barrier. Shea butter, glycerin, petrolatum are also effective emollients. Apply it generously, maybe 2 or 3 times a day, paying extra attention to those dry patches.
And timing matters here, right?
Critically important. Apply the moisturizer immediately after the bath within a couple of minutes while the skin is still slightly damp. This helps trap the moisture that the skin just absorbed from the water.
Seals it in.
Okay.
What's step 3?
Control the environment. If the air in your home is dry, especially in winter or with heating or AC running, use a humidifier in the baby's room.
Okay. Add moisture back into the air.
Exactly. And dress the baby in soft, breathable fabrics. Cotton is usually best. Avoid scratchy materials and make sure clothing isn't too tight. Protect them from harsh wind and sun when outdoors.
Makes sense. What about laundry?
That's step 4, minimizing irritants in their environment. Use laundry detergents that are specifically labeled fragrance-free and dye-free. And consider doing an extra rinse cycle for the baby's clothes and bedding to make sure all the detergent residue is washed away.
Good tip. And the final step.
Step 5 is just continuing to monitor hydration from the inside. Ensure the baby is getting enough fluids through breast milk or formula. Healthy skin starts with a well-hydrated body.
When choosing moisturizers, the sources mention different types, like thicker ointments versus lighter creams. When would you use which?
Yeah, the texture matters. For really dry, stubborn patches or for overnight protection, a thick ointment can be very effective. Like that Super Balm Healing Ointment example, it uses ingredients like coconut oil, beeswax, cocoa butter to create a really robust barrier.
So like a heavy-duty option.
Exactly. But for everyday use, especially on the face, you might prefer a lighter cream that absorbs more easily. The Calendula Baby Face Cream mentioned is an example lighter texture with soothing ingredients like aloe and chamomile. So you might need both, depending on the situation.
Okay, so you tailor the product to the need. We've covered a lot of home care strategies. When should a parent think, okay, this isn't working, I need to call the doctor?
Good question. You should definitely seek medical advice if you've been doing all these things consistently for, say, a week, and the dryness just isn't improving or seems to be getting worse.
A week of consistent effort.
Right. And crucially, seek help immediately if you see any signs of infection. That means increased redness, swelling, warmth, any oozing or pus. Or if the dry skin is accompanied by other symptoms, like a fever, or the baby seems unwell or has a significant change in appetite or behavior.
Don't wait on those signs.
Absolutely not. And prompt consultation is particularly important for very young infants, especially those under 6 months old. Don't hesitate to check in with your pediatrician or healthcare provider if you're concerned. Ultimately, knowledge is power here. Understanding why baby skin is prone to dryness helps you apply the right care. That focus on gentle handling and restoring that lipid layer is really key. It's not just about making them comfortable now, although that's hugely important. It's about preventing issues down the line.
Yeah.
And we know it's a real worry for parents. The sources mention that about 30% of parents express concern about their baby's dry skin, especially during winter.
So let's recap the main takeaways. Baby skin is fundamentally different. High water loss, TEWL, higher pH, makes it super vulnerable. And your best defense is a two-pronged approach. Gentle, infrequent bathing, and consistent, generous moisturizing with the right kind of product, especially right after that bath.
Absolutely. Those are the cornerstones of good baby skincare. And that leads to a final thought, something for you, the listener, to really consider. We know that dry, compromised skin allows irritants and allergens easier access. So thinking long-term, how might establishing a really consistent, gentle skincare routine right from infancy actually impact that child's likelihood of developing sensitivities, allergies, or chronic skin conditions like eczema later on as they grow?
That's a powerful question. Investing in that barrier early could have lifelong benefits.
Potentially, yes. Something to mull over as you navigate these early months.
Indeed. Well, hopefully you feel much better equipped now to decode and manage your baby's skin health. Thank you for diving deep with us today.